The Amex Gold Card is the perfect card to reward your appetite for life. Find out how to access over $500 in annual benefits value on select dining and travel purchases. Gold makes every dining experience more rewarding.
Got safety protocols? Grainger has the safety pros to call. Shop our vast inventory of safety products at Grainger.com. Call, click, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I think the title and what is on the screen now is 100% right. Don't you think? Are we ready for this show to be back again? Because I think I am. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Footy Fridays, and welcome to the first edition in the very scuffed dorm setup for year 4 or 3.5. I don't know what year it is. For the third full year of content being filmed in my dorm room. And might I add, the lighting here, it's not great. But we move because that's what we do on this channel. We're like grit and grind. We're like the Memphis Grit. Is that the Clippers? I don't know. But welcome to another edition of Footy Fridays. I know this opening has been very random, and to be fair, a lot of the stuff we do on this channel is very random. I am your host, Robbie Basil. Thank you so much for being here, tuning into this episode. If you're tuning in live, welcome live viewers. If you're tuning in afterwards, I appreciate y'all as well. Make sure you like and subscribe. Would be greatly appreciated on the road to 100 subs, which would be pretty cool. Trying to get that before Christmas, ideally. So we'll see. You know, a lot of stuff going on, especially this weekend with the channel. And before we go into a lot of the stuff today, I just want to go over some of the stuff, like what's going on with the channel first. And then we'll go into our talking points. We got 4 good ones today. We're going to go over almost every game from last week. What was good, what was bad. You guys get the idea. If you've watched the show in the past, we're going back to the old school format. So let's talk streams. Because I know during the summer, a big thing on this channel was the watch-along streams. And that included Club World Cup Final, the Gold Cup, multiple other matches throughout the back end of the European calendar. We're doing it again. It won't be as frequent as I would like due to multiple other factors that I won't get into. But we're starting it off with a bang because last weekend I moved in. This weekend, we're going to give you guys not one, because usually it'll be 1 game a weekend. It's going to be 2 games this weekend, and they're both going to be tomorrow. It's a doubleheader tomorrow. We have Brentford against Villa, which we'll go into later, and then Arsenal against Leeds. Those are the 2 games for tomorrow. They're both also ready to go for stream. Like, they're up on YouTube already, the stream links. So you guys can go click on the link and have it saved and ready for tomorrow. Both streams will be starting about 15 minutes prior to kickoff. I have graphics almost completely set up for both games. So it's going to be a really fun time. Hopefully some of y'all can pull up. And we might actually potentially have a special guest from a former channel I used to work with and is a big Arsenal fan that could be joining me as well. So it'll be the first time there'll be a 2-person stream on this channel. So it'll be pretty cool. We'll see though. We have all the score bugs, all the stuff ready to go. We'll have live updates from all the other games as well. There'll be 2 other games going on at the same time as the Brentford Villa game, which is Bournemouth against Wolves, and then Burnley against a very surprising Sunderland team, which we'll get into in our second segment. So yeah, doubleheader tomorrow. And then in the upcoming weeks, you guys will have to pay more attention to the shows during the week in order to figure out or find out what games are actually going to be happening. Because, listen, at this rate, who knows? I don't even know when the next stream, because we're still finding out. Because I'm running a club, I'm running something else. There's like a lot of things going on along with ESPN and then this. So we'll see. Also, if y'all want to see a broadcast reel from me, because I know that was a request from the summer for some reason in one of the streams, I think. Let me know in the comments, and I'll post my actual broadcast reel I posted on LinkedIn to here as well, because why not? But yes, let's go over talking points, because we have 4 good talking points. Premier League Week 1 review. It was completely nuts. And a lot of results that I didn't really expect, and then some that I did expect. So we'll go over Week 1, including 4 major teams collapsing, some big teams struggling but finding ways to win in the end. We'll go over almost every Premier League Week 1 matchup. Week 2 preview. We actually had a game just complete between Chelsea and West Ham. We'll go over that matchup along with what is going to be going on this weekend. We'll go more in depth as well with the games that we'll be streaming tomorrow. Transfer chaos. We had a big transfer happen with Arsenal after they lost Kai Havertz. They got Eberechi Eze. We'll talk about that and what could happen for some other clubs as we approach deadline day in about 10 days. Other major results from today, Bayern Munich getting a big 6-0 against Leipzig. It was an emphatic victory for Bayern. We'll talk Bundesliga a little bit as well because they kicked off today, and their first weekend is this weekend. And then final remarks and schedule for tomorrow. We'll go over it again because we have Brentford Villa and, of course, the big one with Arsenal and Leeds. So let's begin with the Prem because that's literally how we do everything on this channel. And before we start, though, we're going to have to move me to the side because we have a little thing that will help us today. And hopefully this actually works. So if we go on, hit this button. Try it again. Hooray. So all the scores are in this corner. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I needed a refresh. So all the scores are in this corner. And we're going to go over all of them and their significance of some of the results as well to make it as in-depth as possible for you guys. And so everyone fully understands how crazy some of these games are, because there are a good few that you look at the score and say, what the fuck happened? Like, you don't understand. So let's get right into it. And we'll start with the one at the top, and it's Liverpool and Bournemouth. Now, I know it's hard to see the score of this match, but it was, regardless, a good match. Bournemouth, they really didn't back down when they played Liverpool, and that's what you were kind of hoping for. To go through the whole match, Hugo Ekitike, who I said was going to be my signing of the season. I love Hugo Ekitike getting him for Liverpool. Liverpool getting him was massive, and we understood that from the get-go. An early goal that started Liverpool's run. They got Cody Gakpo grabbed the second, and it was 2-0 before 50 minutes before Nelson Semenyo grabbed a brace, especially after some other stuff that happened to him from fans during the match. But it was Federico Chiesa and Mo Salah who put the nail in the coffin, and Liverpool won the opening match in a crazy 4-2. A match that captured the hearts and minds of everyone for so many different freaking reasons. To start, the Nelson Semenyo situation, where fans were shouting stuff at him throughout at different points in the match. The game had to be stopped at one point, which was a very awkward moment because no one really knew what was going on for about 30 seconds. And then they found out and everyone was like, oh crap, like this is insane. So that was a very weird moment. It was right before a corner too. And that's when the game was at 0-0. But Semenyo, shout out to him. He grabbed a brace. He actually played really well in this game. Even if he didn't have a brace, I would have given him like a 7.5 match rating. He played really well. Was very creative on the ball as well. I love the way Semenyo started his season, of course, with getting a brace. Liverpool, though, a little bit shaky defensively. I mean, both teams were shaky defensively. It's week 1. I was a little more worried about Liverpool than I thought they would be. I love Jeremy Frimpong, though he might have picked up a knock. I love Van Dijk, but there were a couple mistakes in the back that worry me for future games. Conceding twice to Bournemouth is not the best thing in the world, especially when you're not conceding. But we know Bournemouth's main threats are Evan Nilsson, you have Semenyo, and then, of course, Kluivert. So, I mean, I know Kluivert wasn't in the team. My apologies. So it would be Semenyo, it would be Tavernier, it would be Evan Nilsson, Brooks, those types of players. I mean, Alex Scott's there too, but he dropped to 6.7, which nice. You had a couple other players really underperform, but I'm a little more worried for Bournemouth about Evan Nilsson. He wasn't very good on the ball. He wasn't able to create very much. And in the future, for a player like Evan Nilsson, who is really solid at the 9 for a Bournemouth team that will be underrated, I believe, all season long, he needs to be better. And granted, he played Liverpool. Bournemouth, their next game, they don't have to play Liverpool, which good. They get Wolverhampton Wanderers tomorrow. So I think in the early stages of tomorrow, we're going to need to see more out of Evan Ilson in order to see what type of form he's actually in and how worried Bournemouth should be about their number 9. Semenyo was great. You had Brooks, who was solid. Tavernier created a lot in the middle, and I think that was a very positive thing as well. But some players were terrible. The defense was awful from Bournemouth. Konate and Milos Kerkez wasn't as good as I thought he would be. So that's something to definitely keep an eye out for as well. And of course, your big name players, Ekatike, Salah. Florian Wirtz actually wasn't as creative on the ball as I thought he would be, which is something to keep an eye out for this coming week. On Saturday, the big game that everyone was talking about for all the right reasons was the game in the middle of the second set of matches is Sunderland against West Ham. That was the game that everyone was talking about because newly promoted Sunderland, they lose, I believe, their best player in Joe Bellingham to Borussia Dortmund. And what do? They go up and score 3 on Premier League regular, former Europa Conference League champion West Ham United. And what's crazy is they score 3 goals on 0.7 XG. That's brilliant. They didn't shoot anyone. It was goals from Mayenda. They got goals from Dan Ballard. You had goals from Isidore. Like, it was a full miraculous effort from Sunderland. They could be, I gave them 18 I said the bottom teams were going to be competitive. It's just over the course of a Premier League season, can they actually do it? I said Sunderland had the best chance. And so far, they've proven me right so far, grabbing a 3-0 win against the Irons in West Ham United. So I like where Sunderland is. They have a very competitive, very big match tomorrow against Burnley, a Burnley side that looked really, really bad defensively against Tottenham. To see Sunderland grab 6 points from 6 would be a little bit of a concern for some other teams at the bottom that we're going to go into. Speaking of teams at the bottom, Wolverhampton Wanderers went out and lost 4-0 rather predictably to Manchester City. That's the 5th game in the second set of matches. And we saw a lot of positives from Manchester City. Holland grabbed the brace. Reinders was really good. I really liked how he played in the midfield. I was actually very impressed by Reinders. Like, to Johnny Reinders, I didn't know how he was going to play in that tactic, but he looked really good. I will give him that. He looked really good. The only player that really sucked was Jeremy Doku because he did absolutely nothing. Holland was great. Reinders was great. Oscar Bob, I thought, was really good. Rico Lewis, everything was creative off the right, and they were absolutely destroying Gomez and Wolf, like, as expected. It's like, I don't know. It's Wolves defense. Like, they're not really good. They're not as good as they should be. I saw a lot of positive things. And then you saw Rayan Cherki come off the bench and score as well. So it's a lot of positives to take away from Man City week 1. They're a team that, granted, they played Wolves at Molineux. It could have been a trap game, but they didn't make it a trap game. And they really dominated this match, and they deserve to go out and to win by multiple goals. Match at the top of the second section, you've Aston Villa against Newcastle, a Newcastle United team I was very worried about. Remember, I had them finishing 11th in the Premier League, and they proved my point immediately. Let's look at the numbers. 1.43 XG, 0 goals. They watch Villa get a red card with Ezri Konsa. They then create nothing and draw 0-0 on the road. And the one thing I always said in videos in the past as well, Newcastle United are horrible usually on the road. And they're proving that point again. There's no reason Newcastle should have drawn this game. 0. Outshoot Villa 16-3. You had multiple clear-cut chances. Over 1.4 XG. This could have been a 2-3-0 away result for a Newcastle United team that has a lot to play for. They're a team that has a lot of questions, and they answered none of them. Anthony Gordon played striker. He was not good. Dropped a 6.4. What the hell is that? And he played all 90 minutes. I don't know why they did that. But they brought on Jacob Murphy to replace to go out on the wing. Didn't really do a lot. I like Anthony Alanga. He dropped only a 7, so there's more you wish you can see from him. But the defense was really good, as you usually expect from Newcastle. But over the course of the season, it's going to be the striker. You don't have Isak. They are going to need to find a way to get a striker, even if it's Nicholas Jackson. Like, you would take that over Anthony Gordon right now. You'd get a legit 9. Granted, not at the highest level you'd want of getting a Gyökeres, a Ben Sesko, a striker like that was available, a Hugo Ekitike, like players like that who are available in the market. You can't get that. So getting a Nicholas Jackson, maybe in the tier below, he still has a lot of quality. I just don't know what the money is going to look like, or if Jackson's even interested in the move to begin with. Maybe they can get Christopher Nkunku. I mean, if you could get him for free, I think they would do that. But yeah, Newcastle United, terrible in the attack. They were god awful. We need better from Newcastle. Finally, game in the middle out of this game's in second section. You had Brighton against Fulham. I didn't really watch this game at all. It was a 1-1. A game where, I had a lot of questions about both of those teams, if you remember from the last video. And, well, some of them were answered for about both of these teams. Like, for Brighton, I didn't know who would go out and score goals for them. Because you lose João Pedro, you lose that striker that they had last year. They had Evan Ferguson out on loan. Who is going to be the one to score goals for Brighton? That was the question. What surprised me was that they actually found a goal to begin with. And it was courtesy, granted, of a penalty, but a goal nonetheless in a match like that. It was courtesy of the midfielder Matthew O'Reilly, the 24-year-old Danish player. Am I worried about their attack? Of course I am. Like, they had multiple players play terrible. Minta, Matoma, and Ruter were all not great against a Fulham team that, again, attacking-wise, are not great either. Jimenez played poor. Iwobi, Wilson, King, all played terrible. And you couldn't capitalize on that. And they literally blew it in the 96th minute to Rodrigo Muniz, who I forgot existed. Like, come on. It was not good. It's not good. I was just checking something real quick. I'm sorry, chat. I didn't know where. Oh yeah, Anthony Robinson wasn't available, so he might be back for when they play Man United this week, which would be very exciting. But yeah, biggest takeaway from the Saturday section of games. Just two main ones. Man City dominant, 3-1. Man City's dominance, 4-0 win over Wolves. Can they keep that going into next week? Sunderland's surprise. They are the biggest shock result from the Saturday section of games. They went out and destroyed West Ham. What does the future of West Ham look like? Could they really be a threat in the relegation spots? Could they maybe get relegated? And Newcastle's struggles in front of goal, over 1.4 XG created per foot mob, and a man up at one for almost 25 minutes. They still couldn't create enough to grab a late goal at Aston Villa. Third section of games, Chelsea, who, they were really good. They won the Club World Cup. I picked them to be a Champions League team. So rather predictably, they go out and draw 0-0 with freaking Palace. A Palace team that has gotten significantly weaker, if you know what's going on. Let's talk about it. So Chelsea, who, by the way, continued their run of just buying people. Let's look at the numbers from Chelsea first. 1.6 XG created, 19 shots total. They had only 3 on target, which is a little bit of a worry. A lineup that was really good, but Jamie Gittins was not good. Cole Palmer was not good. He actually got hurt today and didn't start the match against West Ham. We'll talk about that as well. And João Pedro was really poor. But Enzo Maresca Like the attack that he bought, that the squad club bought, Delap, Pedro, Gittins, they were all really bad, which worried me for a little bit. Esteval came into the match. He didn't do a lot. Enzo Fernandez dropped the 6.7. This Palace team, led by Mateta, Gehi, Richards, Lacroix, and a solid goalkeeper in Dean Henderson, a Crystal Palace team that won the Community Shield, went out and drew the Club World Cup champions. Like, that is a very weird result, and it was a very uncomfortable start to Sunday. But then it got more weird because Brentford, who, if you know, you know, we love Brentford on this channel. We don't really talk a lot of shit about Brentford here, which is very surprising because if you know what happens here, you would know that we talk a lot of crap about a lot of teams. Brentford, we usually don't diss. I don't know what it is. We usually don't diss Brentford. But the fact that they got chopped down by Chris Wood again. Chris Wood had 2 goals again. I have no idea what's going on with Nottingham Forest anymore. And there's a big thing that's happening with Nottingham Forest now and on Sunday, which we have to talk about. But Chris Wood, brace, and also a goal from Ndoye. It was 3-0 at the end of the first half. Brentford grabbed a late penalty courtesy of Thiago, who converted to get it to 3-1. But it was a very poor effort from Brentford. Granted, they created over almost 1.5 XG, and they only got 1 goal out of it, so they got a little bit unlucky. But Chris Wood is already in mid-season form, and that could worry some of the bigger clubs once again. Your Manchester Uniteds, for example, who went out and lost to Arsenal, which we'll talk about in a second. But other teams in the middle, Villa, Newcastle, and a couple of others, could be worried about the hot start from Nottingham Forest. Granted, they played Brentford, but they went out and played really well. They played as a group. They really controlled almost, I believe, all 3 areas of the pitch. They only had 1 player who played bad, and was Sangare, which is unfortunate. But Morgan Gibbs-White playing in the 10 is still awesome. I'm still surprised he's on Nottingham Forest. Callum Hudson-Odoi, Chris Wood, miraculous. The 4 in attack were really good. The back 4, headlined by Murillo and Milinkovic, great, and Sells was solid. Like, it was a full team effort. Nottingham Forest deserved the win. Then we have the final game of that section, Arsenal against Manchester United. And while I am happy, I am praising the Lord that Arsenal won this game. There is no reason they should have won this game. And the numbers prove it. Getting outshot 22-9 by Manchester United is impressive. And having some star players do nothing is also impressive. But what was also impressive is the lack of goalkeeping again by Man United. Because Bayindir was horrible. A lot of players were not good. Gyökeres was bad. Martinelli underperformed. Literally, the only goal Arsenal got was a set piece with Calafiori, and it shouldn't have went in to begin with because Bayindir should have saved that. Everyone understands that. Like, a lot of players they brought on were just Arteta played too defensive. I hope people understand that. And I hope when Arsenal play Leeds tomorrow that they don't do that only up 1 goal, because there's multiple. Like, this Arsenal team is too good to try and play defensive like that, because when you play it and try not to lose, you will concede. Arsenal learned that lesson multiple times last year. Remember that. When they played this more really defensive shape, granted, they were sometimes when they did it, they were on a man down because of red cards. But sometimes when they did it, they really got punished for it. I don't understand this more defensive mentality when you want to be a Premier League champion and you have this ideology. I don't really understand it. As time continues, this has to be one of those things that are phased out, and more attacking mentality. When you have more attacking players, Gyökeres being one of them, you need to switch the mentality to be more attacking. You cannot be defensive against, like, you cannot have that mentality against the team that could finish 10th. We don't know how good this Manchester United team is. We know what Amorim said about his team being competitive. You really should have said that, Amorim, if you didn't lose. If you scored, fine. I respect the comment. But the fact that he said that after losing, I'm slightly confused. But Arsenal, did they deserve it? I don't know. I mean, I said they didn't deserve it, but at this rate, who freaking knows? Takeaways from the middle game. Class from Crystal Palace. They are able to keep Chelsea out of the back of the net, something that a team that played them today failed to do. Could they hold that up when they've now lost the star player to a big name club, which we'll be talking about in the third section? You have the rise of the Forest again. And let's actually talk about this. What the hell is going on with Nottingham Forest? Take this off the screen. Bring me back to the middle. But now bring me back to the middle. Because I'm tired of not being able to talk about this because of other stuff being in the news. You know what? Understand where I'm coming from with this. The stuff with Nottingham Forest is ridiculous. And I hope we all understand that. The stuff that is happening with that club, with the ownership, the way they talk about the manager, what the hell? How is a club this good so bad in other departments in management? How? Please explain to me this. I'm losing brain cells over it. It's like when you're taking that math or science class and there's so much information and it's so confusing. And then when you just hear the easiest fact, you lose your mind. That is the feeling you get from how stupid this Nottingham Forest situation is. And the fact, it's driving me nuts. The fact that they could fire Nuno Espirito Santo after what he has done to change the entire club. I've been wrong about Nuno a lot. And I apologize to the Nottingham Forest people, the Nottingham Forest fans who watch this channel, because I know there's a couple. He literally helped bring this club to life. They have players that change clubs and players that have changed their careers to go from bench warmers to stars. And now you're trying to chop that down by sacking Espirito Santo. Possibly. I don't get it. I talked about it with someone this morning. What the hell? I just don't understand. I do not understand this club. And they're playing Crystal Palace this week, which that was the club where they had the fight about, over European stuff. It's a long story. But yeah, I had to say something. This is ridiculous. Now, stop making me angry and put clubs on the screen. Final takeaway, Arsenal defensive mentality, get it out. Finally, we have the game from Monday, which was Leeds United getting a shock result, a 1-0 courtesy of a penalty to beat Everton. And I said it on the Premier League prediction video that this could be a result. And the one team that I thought had the best chance of getting a result was Leeds. And damn it, they got a result. Did they deserve it? Up to you. But I think this Leeds United team have surprised me more than I thought they would. And it's something that as time goes on, we're going to need to continue to see more from Leeds, because they scored. Didn't they get a penalty? You're going to need to do more than that to go out and beat some teams that are at the level that Leeds are currently at. So I'm a little bit worried for Leeds, but still, a win is a win, and it's a week 1 win at home, which is massive for them. Biggest takeaway, Leeds United strong. They were good. They got a shutout against a decent Everton team that I had high hopes for. It's not the worst result. Okay. So, let me get this right. That's not the right thing. There's so much stuff that I have to type. Oh my God. Oh my God. There's so much like the difference, chat, is I don't have the PC here, so I have to do everything on my phone again. So some of the stuff for the match is gonna be hella scuffed. But guess what? We go again next. Like that's just how it is. Like, come on. Like y'all like you remember last year sometimes, like when I was with Give 'em 5 and all the struggles we had with the streaming. It's back. It's back again. Guess what's back? Back again. The failing, the scuffed stream. That's what it is. The scuffed stream is back. But I'm happy that the stream stuff is returning. Okay. Week 2 preview. We'll go to that next. All right. Week 2 preview. Let's get it. We start off with a 5-1 thumping of West Ham by Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, West Ham went. Remember, West Ham went up in this game. If you didn't watch it, West Ham United banger of a goal from Lucas Paqueta to put West Ham United, Graham Potter's West Ham United, against the team he formerly managed in Chelsea, and then Chelsea, showed their dominance, did their thing, swaggered all over the field, went out and won 5-1, and there are 5 goals from 5 different players, which is actually very impressive. The thing that I'm going to highlight from this is it's simple. Aaron Wan-Bissaka got cooked, and he deserved to get cooked. All 3 goals, like the first 3 goals, all came in from runs off hit, like players cutting in from his side. Ball goes off to the right, opposite of Wan-Bissaka's side. He can't man mark. It's 3 goals. They're all like the same, and there are goals for players like João Pedro, who avenged himself after his crap game last week. Pedro Neto, Enzo Fernandez got a great 3rd goal. It's a great run from Estevao, crosses it into the middle of the 6 and tapped home by Enzo Fernandez. It was complete dominance. Then we had Moises Caicedo and Chalobah. It was 5-1 before the hour mark. It was 1-0 after 6 minutes. And then Chelsea turned to another gear. They clicked. They dominated everywhere else. And dang it, they deserved all of the goals. I think they could have even scored more. Like, just crazy to think about. Like, more than 5 goals is unheard of usually in the Premier League. But it's a crazy result that really boosts Chelsea's morale. They're in a situation where they went from being really uncomfortable, drawing freaking Palace on the road, to wow, we're in a much better spot. We now have Fulham next, a Fulham team that is very defensively minded, like the first 2 teams they've played. So I'm still hopeful for Chelsea that they can continue to get on the right form ahead of a very important September international break for a lot of countries around the world. So in a time where players need to get form, they literally got a freebie with destroying West Ham. Also, I'm very worried for Graham Potter's safety as a manager. I think he could get fired by September. I will say that. If we get absolutely battered in 3 games in a row, West Ham's next game, who do they got? Nottingham Forest. If you go out and you lose by 5 to Nottingham Forest, you're getting fired. Like, West Ham fans leaving after 35 minutes can't happen for an entire season. And we heard the stat earlier where he's gotten less points as a manager than Julian Lopetegui, which is genuinely incredible. Like, you have to have, like, I can't even believe, because Julian Lopetegui was not good with West Ham. And you remember Dylan Shalom, who was on this channel last year, he was saying Lopetegui wasn't going to survive at all. Like, was not going to be your full season. And dang it, he was right. And the way West Ham did do things, it's unbelievable. It's weird to think that this team won a Conference League. They went and won a European trophy. It's unbelievable. But let's stop talking about the bad. Let's talk about the good. What to watch out for this week. And what are the games to watch this week? We'll start off with Manchester City playing at 7:30 in the morning for some reason, playing against Tottenham. Tottenham and City, both teams that won their opening match by a combined 7-0. They both got clean sheets in their first matchup. And quite frankly, both of them were dominant in attack. And that's what you're going to be wanting to watch out for. Richarlison and Holland, two players who got a brace in their first matchup of the season. What will they look like against much stronger opponents, and especially with how Man City's defense looks? They're in a situation where if you look at a projected lineup, you have Diaz and Stones in the middle, Ayat Nori and Rico Lewis. They're both fantastic. On the opposite side, you'll have Van de Ven, Romero. Kevin Danso actually looked pretty decent. Spence and Poro, they have a good defense as well. I think this is going to be a power struggle. I actually think this game could result in a draw. Remember, Tottenham last year were really terrible on the road, but under Thomas Frank, they've really swung and missed, and they've been in the media for a lot of wrong reasons recently. So I think it could be a draw. I'm leaning more towards the City win. I think it could be like a 2-1 or a 1-1. Like that's how it's kind of leaning right now. Though we'll see how this City team lines up tomorrow. It's very interesting to me. Other games to watch out for. I mentioned Burnley Sunderland. That's a game that could be between two possible relegation teams. I loved Sunderland's form of playing a Burnley team that were horrible defensively in their first matchup, and I like Sunderland winning against Burnley. I have a 2-1 to Sunderland. Up top, second game, you have Bournemouth against Wolves, a Bournemouth side that are seeking to get a little bit of revenge after to get on the right track. After losing to Liverpool, they're going to play Wolves. I think they're going to control every single moment of this match at the Vitality Stadium. I think this is going to end 3-0, including, I believe, a brace for Evan Nielsen, giving a 3-0 to Bournemouth. Game in the middle, Aston Villa against Brentford, the game we're going to be calling on this channel at 10 a.m. on stream tomorrow. I really like the way that this could line up. Right now, if you look at who would be missing this game, no Wisa, he's suspended. Ezri Konsa suspended. So two of the bigger name players in this match are suspended. But I love this Aston Villa lineup. Ollie Watkins was pretty awful in the first week, but they have multiple players that can completely control a match. I like Kelleher, though he wasn't good the first week. So that's something to definitely keep an eye out for. But the way this defense could play, and if they're playing as a group, going up against this Aston Villa team, I think this could be a draw. I have this game being a 1-1. I think Villa could struggle again, and they're just not a team I'm confident in right now. They literally went out, struggled a little. I mean, they were all right against Newcastle last week, even though they got a draw in the end. But my God, come on, guys. I don't know. It's a very weird spot to be in, and going into a possible must-win match with Palace, they need a win. I think they could push for it, but I think that could also be their downfall. So I have this game being a 1-1 or an Aston Villa 1-0 win. I don't think there's going to be more than 2 goals in this match. Finally, the final game of the first session, Arsenal against Leeds. Arsenal's home opener. You're going to see a very loud Emirates Stadium tomorrow. It's going to be vibrant. You're going to see a big introduction, a big roar for Gyökeres, and I think he gives the fans what they want. I have a Gyökeres scoring a goal. I think Arsenal control that game from start to finish. A 4-0 prediction for Arsenal for tomorrow. I think they control every single moment of this game. Leeds struggled to score goals against a team like Everton. Arsenal are not going to let them score at all. I have a 4-0 for the Gunners. Second session of games, third day of games, Palace against Nottingham Forest, two teams that had a actual legality fight, if you remember back a couple weeks ago, regarding who's going to be going to the Europa League and who's going to the Europa Conference League. It was a very weird situation. And Palace and Nottingham Forest, they don't like each other. And a Palace team has lost a star, but they're going to re-show a shooting star in Jean-Philippe Mateta, and I think he's going to get at least 1 goal. I think it's a draw. I think Palace go out and draw again. 2-2 is my prediction. I think they have a lot of creativity in midfield, even without Eberechi Eze. I think they're still going to find a way to get the job done. A game where Forest really have to win. Second game, you have Brighton against Everton at the new Everton Stadium, which is going to be really, really cool. And they're going to show that game on the USA Network. This game, Brighton, I don't really know what to expect. I haven't really watched these two teams very much. And I think with Everton's lack of scoring against Leeds, I think they're going to have something similar, a similar struggle against Brighton. I have this game being a 0-0. I don't think there's a lot that happens in it. And it's a game that it's going to be really controlled in the midfield. I like Brighton's midfield a little bit more, but I just don't think there's going to be anyone throwing that big hook to try and go out and grab a goal. And then finally, we have Fulham. They are taking on Manchester United. There's actually one more game that we haven't shown yet on the screen. I don't know why that is. Let me fix that for you guys. Actually, my apologies. It is Newcastle and Liverpool. But let's talk more Fulham against Manchester United, a Fulham team that might be getting Jedi Robinson back against the Manchester United team that we don't really know what to expect from Manchester United. They're going on the road to Craven Cottage. Again, another draw. I think this is a 1-1. This is a game that screams 1-1 to me. Fulham, they don't really score a lot of goals, but I think they're solid defensively, especially playing at home. Manchester United, big chip on their shoulder. I don't think they get it done. This game screams 1-1 to me. Finally, Newcastle United against Liverpool, the big game on Monday. I think Liverpool control every single moment. Another game that's going to be completely controlled by Liverpool, but they don't really score many goals. Newcastle United are usually a very good team at home. I don't think this happens here against a team that feels like when you look at the players they have, it's too good. I think Liverpool will control. I have a 2-0 to the Reds. I think Liverpool, the defending Premier League champions, go out and do it again. So, back to the middle with me. Transfers. We love them here. What are some big transfers going on right now? And that leads us to talking point 3. And there are many, our big segment, transfer insanity. And that has been the theme all summer long. Over $3 billion spent on players by the Premier League at this transfer window. And ladies and gentlemen, no one's done yet. At least I don't think many are done yet. The big teams are done. The biggest move that happened was Eberechi Eze, who I thought was going to go to Tottenham. And we talked about it last week that I thought he was going to go to Spurs and be very impactful there. But after Kai Havertz's surprise injury, Arsenal were the ones to swoop up and take Eberechi Eze. And he's now a gunner. That move completely surprised me. I didn't actually think it was going to happen. We talked about during July, really, when we were doing streams, about Eberechi Eze, because we knew it was his boyhood club. Arsenal were linked to him back in July. And then at the end of the month, I'm saying we need him to be an Arsenal player. Kai Havertz gets injured, which really sucks. But Eberechi Eze is a very valid replacement for a guy like Kai Havertz. And getting him for, even though it was a little bit more expensive than I would have thought it would be, it's still a really good move. And I love the idea of getting Eberechi Eze on this Arsenal team because, oh Lord, this team looks good, even if they really sucked against United. Other moves to definitely watch out for. Victor Boniface going to AC Milan. That one I didn't expect either. I really thought that Leverkusen weren't going to sell him if they wanted to be competitive in the Bundesliga. That they would keep Boniface, they would lose Wirtz, and they would lose Frimpong, and they'd buy more. But they did none of that. They retained none of the 3 players. And the sad part is that it wasn't for a lot of money. Leverkusen should have gotten significantly more than this. It's a €5 million loan fee and then a 24 million buy option clause. It's not even mandatory. So he could even go back to Leverkusen. Like, this move makes no sense. Like, I don't know. It's a very confusing one. I mean, I understand what Milan's trying to do. I don't understand what Leverkusen's trying to do. And again, I've never understood what Leverkusen's trying to do. Other updates, other transfers that kind of happened. Andy Duyev, I think that's how you say it. The Lens player going to Inter. I like it. I mean, Inter needed another player like him. Wasn't a lot of money, only 20 million plus installments. I think it was pretty good. Good move there from Inter. Helps out in the midfield. This one I'm intrigued with. It's Dortmund signing Chelsea players. They're literally copying the Arsenal tactic. And there are talks to permanently get Carney Chukwuemeka and Anselminos. I haven't seen a lot of Anselmino. I don't really know how good he is. Carney Chukwuemeka, I thought at one point was going to be a star midfielder for Chelsea. He just hasn't emerged enough. But his talks are in place for a permanent deal for Chukwuemeka. I think he will fit well with that Borussia Dortmund team. I mean, him, Bellingham, I got to watch them in person play together. I got to watch Carney Chukwuemeka and Joe Bellingham in person. I think they'll work really well together in that midfield. The only thing that I find odd about this whole thing is that Anselmino is not with a buy option. I thought that's why I think this move won't happen at all. Is that Anselmino doesn't have a buy option. I think if Borussia Dortmund had a buy option, this deal would have been done already. But I think Chukwuemeka goes back to Dortmund, and I think it's a good move for Borussia Dortmund. Other moves that people would care about, of course, this one also kind of surprised me. And there's Julio Enciso going to Chelsea or Strasbourg. I don't know. He's going to Strasbourg. He's basically going to the Chelsea ownership group. So he's signing with Strasbourg and then going to Chelsea. I don't know. Next. It's too confusing. Nice move by Villarreal. They got Renato Vega 2 days ago. I think it's a really good move. Galatasaray possibly getting a Kanji, I think is really good too. But another move that really caught my eye was Douglas Luiz, who used to be able to control that Newcastle United midfield. He's now going to control the midfield at Nottingham Forest. That's a very intriguing move to me. Nottingham Forest have a lot of good midfielders. Remember, we talked about Nottingham Forest earlier in the attacking midfield roles. But defensively, getting a guy like Douglas Luiz into defensive midfield, I think is really, really good. And it could be really beneficial to sign a player like him. I give it a B+. If we're giving out grades, I give it a B+. It's not bad. Did I expect it? Absolutely not. It's Nottingham Forest. You don't know what to expect with them. 1 minute they might be shouting at UEFA. The next moment they might fire their coach. I don't know. They're too confusing. But we will finish off this transfer segment with Alexander Isak. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. Well, we have to talk about it. It's a very weird thing to talk about. I hope everyone understands how weird this is, especially with the comments of what Isak said. Let's go find what he said. Let's go find what Alex Isak said. We'll read some of it together because we like to read on this channel. You know, reading is part of what we do. I misclicked. Sorry about that, chat. Let's read it. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship cannot continue. I firmly believe that change is in the best interest of everyone, not just myself. I'm proud to be recognized by my fellow professionals with a place in the PFA League Premier League Team of the Season. I want to thank his teammates for that. I've kept quiet for a long time, while others have spoken. That silence has allowed people to push their version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and what happened, and it was agreed upon behind closed doors. The reality is that promises were made, and the club has known my position for a long time. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, then the relationship cannot continue. That's where things are for me right now, and why change is in the best interest of everyone, not just myself. Wow. That is a statement. And that is a statement of I respect the hell out of that. What I don't respect, and I thought was pretty funny when I talked about it with some of my friends, was Newcastle's statement, which we'll read now. We are disappointed to have been alerted to a social media post released by Alexander Isak this evening. We are clear that Alex remains under control so that no commitment has ever been made by a club official to say that Alex can leave Newcastle United this summer. We want to keep our best players as also understand players have their own wishes. We listen to their views. As explained to Isak and his camp, we must always take into consideration best interests of the club, the team, and our supporters in all decisions, and we have been clear that the conditions of a sale this summer has not transpired. We do not foresee those conditions being met. This is a proud football club with proud traditions, and we strive to retain our family feel. Alex remains part of our family, and we welcome back when he is ready to rejoin the team. Spoiler alert: he's probably not rejoining your team. What? What? I mean, I fully get what Alexander Isak is trying to do. He's linked to a move with Liverpool. He actually might go out and win something. You're not going to re-sign him. You have to sell him. I don't know. Like, I remember I talked about it with someone this week. Like, they're like a big person involved with transfers, like they're not a general manager, but like a president or something, like left. And she was really good and helped get a ton of key players. And now a ton of key players are leaving because of the direction that Newcastle is in and how they're run. Again, another horribly ran team that but they have a lot of money. They're owned by the PIF. Like, they don't mess around with the money. This is like the worst possible scenario for Newcastle United. And the fact that they went out and didn't score a goal against Villa, and I have a feeling they won't score again against Liverpool, this is a very worrying point for Newcastle. And like I said, I'm worried for them. I'm really worried for them about what could happen over the next couple of weeks and a season to continue. But the Alexander Isak thing, this shouldn't have happened to begin with. And I hope we all understand that this should not be happening to a player like him. All right. What was our final time about? Oh, other results that we should care about. And this is a new segment this season. And the reason we're doing this is that when we did the Summer of Soccer series, let me just write this out, is that we didn't highlight enough leagues. We're a football show. We should highlight more leagues. So today we're going to talk about what you should be watching out for this weekend and beyond. Champions League qualifying wraps up next week. And while my dearly beloved FC Basel team are competing and drew Copenhagen, which is really freaking cool. It's Copenhagen. They're better than us. Like, will we take a draw? There's so much that we could highlight from the Champions League qualifiers and teams that could make it to the Champions League and other games that no one really talks about. And that's what we're going to be doing in this new final segment today. To start, we will talk about a game that will be talked about in the news tomorrow, and that is a thumping 6-0 victory for Bayern. They went out and beat Leipzig 6-0. You know, when you lose Ben Sesko, apparently you lose 6-0 on 1.62 XG. Yeah, that works for me. Harry Kane had a hat trick. Luis Diaz had a pair of assists. Michael Olise is a baller. Need I say more? 6-0. Fair play, a perfect curtain raiser for a Bayern team that won the Super Cup. They won the league last year, and they're going to find a way to not win the Pokal because that tournament makes no sense. PSG, shout out to them. They went out and beat, is it Angers? Angers? I don't know. I don't know French, chat. I'm sorry. I know Angers is another team, but Angers, fucking hell. PSG won 1-0. It was Fabian Ruiz who grabbed the goal. Not a convincing win, but it's a 1-0 win regardless. It's not the worst result. But let's go back to Champions League qualifying because this was a big topic of discussion this week. Champions League qualifying. Next week is the draw. Unfortunately, we will not stream the draw because I will be doing something with WIUR, which is really unfortunate. But we're in the playoff round of Champions League qualifying. What is going on that it's not being talked about enough? We have clubs from Cyprus and Azerbaijan that could be in the Champions League. We have Qarabağ, the big club in Azerbaijan, and Paphos, who could, I believe, possibly make the Champions League for the first time ever. It's like The club won their first major honor, the Cypriot Cup, in 2024 and secured a first league championship in 24-25. Paphos made their debut in Europe in the 24-25 Europa Conference League, and they reached the round of 16 and entered Champions League qualifying for the first time this year and are in the final qualifying round. This is a very impressive run from a country that the Cypriot League is not terrible, and they have players that you might have heard of before, which makes this even more crazy. Players you might know of, where is he? A player that I know very well is Mislav Orsic, the Croatian player. Plays for Paphos and is a very influential player on their team. They went out and beat well-known Champions League players, Red Star, or Crvena Zvezda, as some call them. 2-1 win in Serbia. Very respectable result for the Cyprian team. They now go home to try and seal the deal. Qarabağ, who I mentioned from Azerbaijan, that went out and beat Ferencvaros of the Hungarian league. Very weird result. Speaking of weird results, we had Kairat from Kazakhstan take on Celtic from Scotland, and it was the Kazakh side who got the result they needed, a 0-0 in Scotland. Very surprise result there. Fenerbahce went out and drew 0-0 with Benfica. It's a very solid result. Rangers lost to Club Brugge 3-1, and of course Basel went out and drew Copenhagen. Also surprising that Qarabağ went behind and still found 3 goals on the road in Budapest, Hungary. Just got to give a shout out to them. But Champions League is going on. There's multiple clubs from around the world. We'll talk about this next week. The full draw and our full reaction to the Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Conference League draws. We'll do that all on stream next week. It's almost 6:30, which means we've almost hit the hour mark. And that is where we'll be leaving today's stream. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Tomorrow, again, the schedule for streams of Premier League action, 10 a.m. is when kickoff is, but we'll start the stream about 9:45. It is Brentford against Aston Villa. And then following that, the second game of our doubleheader, it's Arsenal and Leeds. Make sure to check it out. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Once again, I'm Robbie Basil saying thank you so much for checking out Footy Fridays on RBTV. And, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Grammarly now uses AI to help you write, not just revise. Type a prompt and generate a persuasive, mistake-free draft in seconds, personalized to your unique writing style. Download it for free at Grammarly.com.
And ladies, if you ever oversleep, here's a shortcut.
Wait, is that the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7? You're full of good calls.
Best call is getting it at AT&T.
Get the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7 with Galaxy AI on us. Most expensive plan not required.